What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Hello, you fools. Welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. I am David, your self-appointed expert, and with me is Skin,
Hello.
who is the local fool on the pod.
Oh, yeah. Very foolish.
Very
in the
foolish.
F1 world, at least.
You've not got any Lewis Hamilton like things for us this week?
Lewis Hamilton thinks, no, he was, yeah.
Shit?
Yeah, he was shit this week, yeah.
Good.
I haven't really got any reason to say he's going to be good one day this week.
Yeah, well, who knows? What we do have is a hot lap recap with Ryan Smith.
The race is over. It's that time in the show for the hot lap recap. Let's go.
Right then, fools, your hot lap recap from Hungary, where Lando Norris pulled off a proper masterclass to win at the Hungaroring and close the gap to Oscar Piastri to just 9 points. What a way to head into the summer break, eh? Yes, this one was absolutely mental. Lando had a nightmare start, dropped to 5th after getting squeezed at turn 1, and for a moment, it looked like his race was done. But then McLaren got clever with the strategy, didn't they? They stuck him on a one-stop, which at Hungary is basically like trying to change a tyre with a spoon. It shouldn't work, but sometimes it does. Lando had to make those hard tyres last in the second stint for 39 laps, which is absolutely mental when you think about it. He was managing the life out of those like his life depended on it. But then in the final stint, Oscar, who'd stopped a little bit later for fresher rubber, started hunting him down. And with only 5 laps to go, Piastri was right on his tail. DRS and everything. And he had 2 proper goes, didn't he, down at turn 1, diving down the inside. But Lando just held his nerve and kept the door shut. Brilliant defensive driving and attacking driving. It was just so good to see them going at it towards the end. Oscar, though, pretty gutted afterwards, wasn't he? Saying that he pushed as hard as he could. But, you know, overtaking at Hungary it's just like trying to get a decent pint at a motorway service station, isn't it? It's theoretically possible, but it's never, ever been witnessed by mankind. Now, he knew after Lando went for that one-stop strategy that he'd have to pass him on the track. But that's just easier said than done around this place. The big story, though, is what this means for McLaren. This was their 200th F1 victory, which is like proper history-making stuff, this is, right? And get this, it is the first time they've had 4 consecutive 1-2 finishes since 1988, when Prost and Senna were knocking lumps off each other. That's some serious company to be in competition with, isn't it? No pressure, lads. Now, Charles Leclerc, though, he started on pole, didn't he? And he looked really comfortable early on. But something just went wrong, didn't it, after he had that first pit stop? He was complaining on the radio about there being some energy management issues, and his pace just fell off a cliff. George Russell, who'd been lurking in third, pounced on him. Not literally, although I'm sure many erotic fan fiction magazines are out there wishing that it was true. But he pounced on him figuratively with about 10 laps to go. Now, Leclerc got a bit defensive, maybe a bit too defensive, and he copped a 5-second penalty for his troubles as well. And then that led to Russell grabbing the podium, which was well deserved. Fernando Alonso, now just a few days after turning 44 years old, was brilliant, wasn't he? Managing his one-stop perfectly to finish 5th. His and Aston Martin's best result of the season. And his protege, Gabriel Bortoleto, did the same thing in the Sauber to finish 6th. Not bad for the old Jedi Master and his apprentice. Lewis Hamilton, though, after last race, when I was giving him all of the praises, well, he's had a proper shocker, hasn't he, this race? Starting 12th and finishing 12th after a strategy that just didn't come off. You know, sometimes these things work and sometimes they don't, do they? And this time, they definitely didn't. No. And what about Max Verstappen? Well, it was also his 200th start for Red Bull, which should have been cause for celebration, but instead he was nowhere all weekend. I mean, he had a couple of decent overtakes in the race, but he finished 9th, looking about as competitive, really, as one of those chocolate teapots. The Red Bull just had no pace, absolutely had no pace, and Max just couldn't do anything about it. He's now properly out of the title fight, isn't he? You know, we spoke last time about is he, isn't he? I think he is. So, you know, that means heading into the summer break, it is Piastri leading by 9 points over Norris, with Max now way back. And McLaren are absolutely flying. 4 straight 1-2s, and they look like they've got the car to beat. The only question is whether the teammates can keep it clean between now and the end of the season. That's your Hot Lap recap. I'm Ryan, reminding you that sometimes the best strategy is the one that you didn't plan for. Sometimes you've just got to hold your nerve when your teammate is breathing down your neck. See you next time.
There was some rogue comments in there from Ryan.
Very, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one quite inappropriate, and then 2 analogies that just made no sense.
Yeah, literally.
A spoon to change a tire sometimes works.
Nope.
What? How? Has that ever worked? Has anyone ever?
Is he talking about like when, you know, when you get a
spoon?
flat tire on your bike and you would like use the bottom end of a spoon to like hook the thing back on, like the tire back onto the rim? Like I did that a couple of times when I was a kid.
Okay. I don't know. Sure. And then a good pint at a service station on the motorway. I assume it's different in England, but
yeah.
In Australia, like petrol stations don't sell alcohol.
Some of them will have
Certainly
like
not on tap.
Yeah, some of them will have pubs at them in the UK.
Right.
But not a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's probably enough of that. I guess we should talk about the old
We may as well
F1.
talk about F1. I mean,
the Grand Prix that happened.
Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc, you want to start there?
I want to start there.
All right.
What have you got for me, Skin?
No, well, mate, what have you got for me? He obviously was quite good in qualifying.
Yeah.
Right then, fools, your hot recap from
yeah, he was obviously quite good in qualifying. Did a nice lap.
Yeah.
Put it on pole. That's great.
Yeah.
Looked
Guru in qualifying.
Yeah.
Very good. Like, yeah, just a very good lap.
Good.
Loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has to be the fastest lap on the day.
Yeah.
And then, starts the race. Everything's fine and dandy. And then sort of started having some issues maybe halfway through and lost his race leading position and ended up being quite dog shit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was really weird because we heard them radio messages where he was very cryptic. Like, the things we spoke about before, we probably should have done this in management with me. And like, now look, we're in a shit position. And it was like, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? Like, what is the issue? So I think that was everyone's question after the race. And he went into the media pen and said what he was talking about on the radio, he was wrong about. That wasn't the issue they were managing. They had a crack in the chassis, or they had damage to the chassis or something that had developed and got worse throughout the race.
Yeah.
I think he said. So that was kind of like towards the end of the race, he just had no balance on the car and just couldn't heat up his tires or keep them in a good window. And he just couldn't drive quick because of it. Seems a little sus. I think there's something bigger going on at Ferrari there.
What do you mean?
It kind of feels like he's gotten out of the car. Fred slapped him around the back of the head, and then he's gone to the media pen and gone like, "Oh yeah, no, I was totally wrong. It's we had a cracked chassis." Feels like a bit of a cop out.
Right.
Like, I feel like there might be something to Leclerc's anger there.
Interesting, because he's copped. I feel like in the days since the race, Ferrari have copped so much hate online about poor old Charles, who like looks like a defeated man and stuff. And he's like, how unfortunate it is to be at Ferrari. But if that's what happened, the chassis thing, like the team haven't really done anything wrong. If that's true, right? Like he sort of seemed so frustrated during the race, but
as if the team had done something, or they weren't listening to him.
Yeah, he lost because it was a terrible strategy decision or something like that. But if it's just a cracked chassis, that's just.
Well, it's kind of almost it could be his fault, because that could mean like cracked chassis usually come from a previous crash.
Yeah, like
so if that is the case, then he probably deserves to apologize to every single person in Ferrari for the comments he made during the race. But yeah, I don't know. Just there's no smoke without fire in F1, and I kind of think that what he was shouting about on the radio, there must be some truth to it.
Okay.
That there is something going on behind the scenes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask so you've got this little conspiracy theory going on. It's great. Can I ask you to hypothesize a bit further? So what he was saying during the race was, this is so frustrating. You need to listen to me. I can manage these issues.
Yeah.
I would have found a way to manage these issues.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, what would the issues be?
What would the issues be? How would he find a way to manage them without listening to his team?
Yeah.
Have you any idea what he's on about?
No
what
clue.
He could have been on about?
No clue.
Okay.
That was the weirdest thing. When he said all of that stuff, I was like, what on earth is this issue? Because if it wasn't just a bad strategy call, right? Like, they weren't pitting him and he wasn't going, oh, this is the wrong time to pit. He was like, we have this issue or whatever. And like, if you had listened to what I said before the race, then, but it was, I don't understand what issue it would have been. And why is Charles smarter than the literal hundreds of engineers that are working on his car? Like, why does he have the solution to it? It was such a weird message.
It was. And then, so we don't even know when he says you don't listen to me, like, we don't even really know what that's referring to. Like,
no.
Earlier radio message where his engineer just said "fuck off" or something. Like, what would have happened?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming. Like, at the time, I thought it must be strategy based, but I don't think it is. Whether it could have been tire management based, of like, we should go really slow and look after these tires, or we should push them harder and go for a 2-stop. I don't know, but It just felt real weird and very. Like, he was leading with his front foot, like he was very attacking towards them. It was very like passive aggressive from him.
And from a strategy perspective, his strategy looked normal, right? Like the team strategy didn't look horrendous. Like, he did all the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone except for Lando did.
Yeah. Like, literally he played, like, before the race, it was like, some people are talking about a 1-stop because it's slightly colder air temperature, track temperature. So maybe the degradation won't be as high. But I think like 5-6 laps in, it was like, oh no, most people are going to 2-stop.
Yeah.
Like, if someone tries a 1-stop, it'll be risky.
Okay.
And so I think the strategy was textbook. Everyone else did that strategy, but apart from Lando and maybe, a few other people.
Yeah. I think Antonelli ate up a few spots with the 1-stop as well.
Yeah. But it's just very bizarre.
Right. So then all the sort of hate online that Ferrari are getting about destroying Charles's soul and whatnot. Does that seem fair to you? Like, I understand that they're probably not in the same position as they were when like Schumacher was winning everything and stuff. But if they've done nothing wrong from a strategy perspective, well, does that not make any sense?
It's not fair, and it makes no sense. This is the Tifosi. This is the Italian fans, the Italian media. It is the hardest team to drive for because they're the biggest critics. They don't cheer for their team. When they're winning, they're the biggest fans. When they're losing, they fucking hate them.
Right.
So, like, and if there's any Tifosi watching, we love you so much. Stick around, please. Don't hate on us because you're aggressive fans. But yeah, like, they are the Italian media will be the first people to slate Ferrari. Like, the whole stuff a few weeks ago with Fred, being kicked out and Christian or Toto might take his job and all that shit. It was the Tifosi. It was the Italian media that made these stories up, and then he goes and signs a multi-year contract with Ferrari. So, we get this all the time with Ferrari, and it's almost a thorn in their side that the fans are so passionate that they actually would just shit all over them. And I think Lewis, like look at history. We've had Fernando went there, didn't do anything with Ferrari. Seb went there, didn't do anything with Ferrari. We've had so many world champions go there and be defeated. And I said this last year with Lewis. I was like, I can't wait to get mid-season next year and just to see Lewis's soul destroyed by Ferrari.
I see. Okay.
Because it's just what they do. It's what they do because they, for some reason, don't want to win. And it's what the Italian media do because they fucking hate them when they're not winning.
Okay. What do you mean they don't want to win?
Well, I just don't understand how you can spend this many millions of dollars and not have won a world championship since 2007. Don't even start me with Williams. Don't start. Don't start. The difference is that Ferrari have been at the top of the field forever. They just sit there in P2 or 3 and never win anything.
Right.
Don't start with Williams. We've at least been last.
All right.
We've had money troubles.
Okay.
Shit, I kind of shot myself in the foot there, didn't I?
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, let's move on to Lewis. Lewis criticized himself a lot this weekend. Post-qualifying, he said, they asked him like what was wrong with the car or anything like that. And he was like, nah, just me. I'm bad. I'm a bad driver. He like, I got these quotes off online. He said, they probably just need to change the driver. And then they asked like what the issues were. And he said, it was the same as yesterday. I'm glad it's over. Sorry, this was post-race. He said, it was the same as yesterday. I'm glad it's over. And I'm looking forward to going away.
It's not the most positive message I've ever heard anyone say.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that that's filling the Tifosi with confidence.
No, the Italian media are going to eat that shit up.
Ugh.
And for this to be, that's like his last interview until whatever the next race is. So for like 3 or 4 weeks, this is what Ferrari are going into the summer break on, is a bad result from both drivers. And both drivers very unhappy with the team.
Yeah, and a driver that doesn't think he's good at driving.
Yeah.
It's not really what you want to hire a 7-time world championship winner for, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of would think he'd come in with a bit of confidence about like,
yeah.
Look how good I am at driving cars.
Yeah. But he hasn't been for a while now. Like, he had a good race last time out, great, but his qualifying sucked. His sprint race and his sprint qualifying sucked. Like,
that's why I said, Disc, if he can do both things well on the same weekend, mate, he's going to be unstoppable.
But then he thought you were talking about opposite day because he did both things shit this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, he just didn't show up to anything. And it was embarrassing to watch him all weekend.
It's weird. Like inconsistency. Like you would think you would either be good all season or shit all season. Yeah. It's weird how you can have days where it's like, wow, that guy is the best driver ever.
Yeah.
And then other days where it's like,
that guy's the worst driver ever.
You might as well have one of us in the car.
Literally. But it's the same. Let's look at Williams. It's the exact same. Like we've had races. I mean, last week was a pretty good weekend for us. And then this week we were just fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like Williams James did a post-race interview and was just like, yeah, we don't know why we were so slow in Hungary. Like we expected to be a little bit quicker than we were and to like compete with the Astons and the Kicks, which we'll get onto a little bit later. Oscar and Lando, you wrote something about Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. So we were prepping for the show. I thought we'd talk about Oscar at some point, so I wrote down some questions.
Yeah. But I really just want you to ask the question because it's a good question.
Okay, thanks. Well, so there's been a bit of talk since the race. Maybe for context, we should go through the race first. So all right. So because I probably have some questions that need to be answered before that makes a ton of sense. Okay. So start of the race. Oscar starts in P2. Lando's in P3. Lando does this weird duck down the inside thing.
Oh yeah.
It sucks. 2 people drive past him. He's in P5. So he's had a shocker on the first corner, right?
Yeah. That was very smart by Lando though, because if you kind of watch it from the helicopter shot, he's like next to Oscar a little bit in Charles' slipstream. And Oscar, I think he knew that Oscar didn't know how close he was. So he braked earlier so Oscar wouldn't cut in front of him and he could have potentially lost his front wing and taken out his teammate, right? So he's braked slightly earlier. What I don't think he anticipated was there was George and Fernando down his outside. Yeah. And so he almost lost 2 positions to them. And I don't think he quite anticipated that because he was thinking more about getting through that first corner clean and not taking out his teammate. Yeah. So I think it was quite smart from Lando on the first lap to not be aggressive in that situation. Because I think if he was any more aggressive, I think he would have crashed.
Right. Yes. Okay. My question was like, was it a good move in terms of like, would it not have been smarter to just not duck down the inside? Because ducking down the inside left the outside so open for George and to Fernando to just cruise past him, sort of thing. Would he not have been better off just staying
in the middle? Yeah, for sure he would have. But I think when the double slipstream effect of like he was in Oscar's slipstream and then he pulled out and got Charles' slipstream, had that paid off. And if he was alongside Oscar going into the braking zone, he would have for sure attacked. But I think at the point of which he backed out of it, that was at the point where it was like, he was too far down the straight to then move back over to the left. And he wasn't close enough to Oscar to really make a proper move on him. So it was a good move if it had paid off. It was definitely worth doing. I think even if he ran that back 100 times, I think he would have done the same thing.
Right. It's
a very common thing to do to try in third position to try and follow the leader's slipstream. And the moment Charles moved across out of the front of Oscar and was in front of Lando, I thought Lando's got this for sure. But it just wasn't that. The McLaren's just not that effective in the slipstream or the DRS. So he just didn't get the boost that I think he was wanting to get from it.
Okay.
But I still think it was a good move from him and very smart from him not to crash into anyone.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Lovely. Anyways, so that leaves him in a position where he's in 5th, Oscar's in 2nd. We come to the pitting strategy thing and everyone seems to think it's a 2-stop strategy.
Yep.
Oscar gets preference, pits early, 2-stopping.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Lando decides he's going to sort of roll the dice a little bit, I assume is the thinking there.
Yeah.
So a 1-stop strategy ends up winning the race.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, firstly, is that literally just it really seemed like a just fuck it, why not? Like how would they have made the decision to go to a one stop?
They would have had multiple strategies pre-race, and a one stop, like I think it was Ted said before the race that there was a lot of chatter about the one stop potentially working, but he was like, I've spoken to a few engineers who don't think it's going to work, and I've spoken to some that are like, it might work. So they would have planned a strategy for that. I think what Lando's side of the garage did really well with changing from the two stop to the one stop was once everyone had pitted and Lando got free air, they could actually see that he was still pumping in good laps. There was a radio message to George. I don't know if it was broadcast, but I'm sure one of the commentators mentioned it, or it might have been like Karun or Anthony Davison or someone. Someone mentioned it on the broadcast that George received a radio message saying Lando is doing whatever the lap time was, a 1:24.5 or whatever. And George's reply was, if he's doing that on them old tyres, he's going to beat us in the race. So it was very clear that once everyone had pitted, Lando just had really good speed, even though he was on a lot older tyres. And I think at that point, his side of the garage just saw how consistent he was still being and how the tyres weren't dropping off significantly. And they just said, you know what, let's roll the dice. Like, it's something different. If we don't roll the dice, we're not going to beat Oscar. We might not beat Charles. So we may as well just risk it. Because even risking it, they'll still finish P3. They knew risking it, they would still beat George. Like if Charles was above. So they would have still got P3 that way. But like, it was well worth a risk because they kind of weren't going to lose anything at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't think the one stop would pay off as well as it did. It was insane how much further ahead he was after Oscar's second pit stop.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe that Oscar had that much to catch on him. Yeah. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's so bizarre, right? Like I can understand taking the risk and saying fuck it, why not? Let's give it a go, sort of thing. Yeah. Trying something different if you know that just following Oscar and doing the two stops not going to work. But how is it that all the teams got that wrong? Yeah, everyone was like, nope, two stop is the way to go. Yeah, and it was just wrong.
It's just weird. We don't see it often. I think before the race, Martin said that, like, it had rained the night before on the morning of the race, so the track was quite green. The temperature was a little bit lower. Like, all of this would have played into it, but that puts a question mark over the tire strategy and how long they're going to last. But it was, when this happens, it is fun because you get to watch. The race wasn't the most interesting, but the strategy was really fun to keep across and like watch and be like, oh, is he going to make this work, or is Oscar going to catch him significantly? And so, yeah, just that variable just kind of threw a spanner in the works, and it meant that we got a different result, and Lando was able to capitalize on it. And it was. I mean, certainly like you took a screenshot here, lap 7, Norris was still in P4 behind Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, and at that point I was like, fuck, he'll be lucky to get a podium at this point. Like, George was looking pretty racy. Leclerc looked very good in the early stages. I didn't think he would even get a podium. So for him to come through the strategy and win it was insane. Like, he had a great race, and the strategy from his side was just muy caliente.
Yeah, no, it was cool to watch. I think that's, I feel like that's the first time I've watched a race in my whole 2 seasons of watching a race where like it's the last lap and you're not sure who's going to win.
Yeah. That was sick. Yeah, it was very cool. Like, even the last like 3 or 4 laps when Oscar was catching him, you're like doing the calculations like, okay, like he's going to be there, like on the last lap, they're going to be battling for this first place. Yeah. And then Oscar's move, that move into turn 1 where he like locked up his tires. I thought he was taking him out. I was shitting my pants. I actually watched this one live as well, so I'm really sorry to all of my neighbours because I was fucking screaming at the TV.
Oh, Dave, you don't worry. But yeah, so no, it was a cool race. It made for a really cool, great race to watch. But somehow there's sort of still resulted in this school of thought that Oscar's been treated unfairly in this situation, right?
Yep.
That he and even his messages and sort of some of the things that he said post race, right, were like, well, during the race he said, I don't care about
Leclerc.
I don't care about undercutting Leclerc. I just want the best chance of beating Lando. And then after the race, I think he said, something similar, like maybe the decision to undercut Leclerc was the wrong one in hindsight.
Yeah.
I guess my question is like, how if your priority was to beat Lando and not to undercut Leclerc, what decision would they have made differently at the time with the information that they had? Like, if you're trying to beat Lando, surely with everything they knew at that time, to give yourself the biggest chance of beating Lando or getting further ahead of him, you would still have undercut.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And hindsight's 2020, right? Like Oscar saying that, it's like, that's all well and good, but like this screenshot shows, Leclerc was the car ahead of Piastri and Lando was 2 cars behind him. It's like, at that point, are you really like, you're an engineer, you want to win this race, or you're a strategist. Are you really looking at Leclerc, who is pulling away from Oscar? He clearly had a fast car in the first stage. Are you looking at him and going, he's not a threat, he's going to finish in P4. And the guy that's in P4 is going to fucking dominate and win the race. You're not looking at that and thinking it. Lando for sure is always a risk, and Oscar was thinking about the championship. Oscar was being really smart. If he finished P2, he wouldn't give a fuck. As long as Lando was behind him, he wouldn't have cared. And I think that's more what his point was on the radio.
Yeah, I get that. But if that's your priority, what different decision would you have made? Would you not have still, with everything you knew at the time, would you not have still undercut trying to get further ahead of Lando?
No, because how do you undercut someone that's behind you? Because so an undercut works. If you're racing in P2 and you're trying to undercut the car ahead, there's 2 seconds gap. The undercut could be worth, let's say, 2.5 seconds. So you pit first. They've already passed the pit entry. They can't pit. So then you can pit and get a free pit stop. If Oscar was going to try and undercut Norris and pit first, Norris was 10 seconds behind him. He could have just jumped in the pits.
Okay.
So you can't undercut when you're ahead of someone.
I see what you're saying. I guess I figured they wouldn't want to double stack and would send Lando around to do more laps on shitter tires.
Yeah.
He would sort of get...
Which is what they ended up doing. Yeah. Right? Like the moment Oscar pitted to undercut Leclerc, that's when they made the decision, we're going to keep Lando out and we're going to just split the strategy. Look, I can understand why people are getting annoyed at it, but I don't think McLaren purposefully put Lando on a better strategy or Oscar on a worse strategy. When they left Lando out, I was looking at it like, Lando's been screwed here because this one stop's never going to be that quick. Because I thought the tires were just going to drop off towards the end of, I thought his last 10, 15 laps, he was going to be fucking nowhere. Yeah. But they held on and he drove a really good race. He managed his tires really well during the first 10, 15 laps of his second stint. So I think it was a phenomenal drive from Lando and well managed from McLaren to put both of them on a good strategy that would put them next to each other at the end of the race. Okay, Lando's was clearly a better strategy, and in hindsight, Oscar would have taken that strategy over the strategy he had. But also, no one knew Leclerc was going to fucking shit the bed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and in hindsight, of course, but he got priority. He got he was ahead. He got to make the first decision,
and he was happy to pit.
Yeah, that was
he
the
was happy to
strategy
stop.
Chose.
Yeah.
You gave both drivers the best chance to finish as far ahead in the race as they could.
Exactly.
And one of them went further.
And they even asked Oscar early in the race, do you think you can make these tires last for one stop? And he was like, nah. They asked Lando, and Lando was like, it'll be hard, but yeah, we can go for it. Yeah. So, it's a roll of the dice at the end of the day for both. And the adrenaline's up. I can understand why Oscar was getting frustrated, but I think McLaren just did the best they could.
Yeah, it seemed, I can't wrap my head around implying that there's something unfair or McLaren have a preference one way when they're so openly just saying both drivers can race each other.
Yeah.
This is a race. Why would Lando be punished for screwing up the first corner and dropping back to fifth? You can't look at the first corner and say okay, well now you have to finish behind Oscar because you were shit there. You just race.
Yeah. And this is the problem with Formula One fans, right? Because we've seen the Red Bull in 2013, 14, whatever it was, with the multi-21 stuff with Seb and Webber, where they did exactly that. Whoever led into lap one or whoever led at the 50% mark or whatever won the race. And then Seb just went, fuck you, I'm going to overtake him. And we saw it with Lewis and Bottas. We saw it with Schumacher and Barrichello. We saw it with Prost and Hill back at this is a story as old as F1 has been around. There's a number one, there's a number two driver. So McLaren doing this now. We've got 2 number twos. It's 2 number ones. It doesn't fucking matter. People aren't used to it, and so all of these comments I'm seeing online, I'm like, great, but how about we just take it from face value of what McLaren is telling us, that they were both on the best strategy at that time, and they've both got the same car, and no one's been screwed over. I think Zach and Andreas are running that team perfectly. And it's weird because I think we're all cynical and we're used to seeing people fuck up running teams. So I think that's the problem. It's fans, not the drivers or the team's problem.
Okay. And then, sorry, not to harp on it, but just to clarify, I'm still confused. So Oscar couldn't have undercut Lando because he's behind him. I'm with you. What would he have done differently if he prioritized Lando over Charles? Yeah, but at that moment, they were all still thinking the 2-stop was faster.
It doesn't. Yeah, they were, and that's the problem. They thought the 2-stop was. There's nothing. No. Oscar's strategy was if you look at how far behind Oscar was at if you look at how far behind Lando was at the first pit stop, if you look at that gap and then to think he won that race, it is insane that the one-stop strategy gained him that much more time, and he was still quick at the end. So yeah, no one anticipated the one-stop being that quick. The only thing Oscar could have done is one-stopped, which is why I'm saying hindsight's 2020, and the only, like, if he wanted to change his race result, two-stop was not an option for him to win that race. Two-stop was never going to win that race because a one-stop won from fourth. And I think if you put Lando even in fifth, maybe not as far back as Fernando was, but like if you to put Lando another car up there, like if Max was in P4 and he was in P5, I think that one stop would have still won the race. Because I think he would have just pushed more when he had the clear air.
Okay.
Max Verstappen.
Oh yeah.
He had a weekend where he went to the Hungarian Grand Prix and didn't compete.
Yeah.
Just kind of went there.
Yeah, correct.
A little hobby drive.
Hung around sort of 11th place. Had a little moment with Lewis. That was exciting.
Yeah.
That was a weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah. What was your take on that little? I think he overtook Lewis. It looked like he sort of drove him off the track. Was that all clear to you, or did that look a bit dodgy?
It was a little bit elbows out, wasn't it? It wasn't the cleanest of moves. I think it was, a bit of a, hey, fuck you. Like, remember 21? Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it was a bit of that, but
it's fine.
Again, if this was first place or a podium, I'd have an opinion, but it was for like fucking 11th at the time. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, but it was just interesting. Like, I remember seeing Max catching him and just being like, oh, this could be interesting. And then that happened. And I was like, yeah, it would have been interesting if it was for a podium, but I just don't really care. Yeah. It's classic Max, isn't it? Like, he definitely ran him off the track. He definitely got his elbows out, but I don't think it was overly aggressive. I think Lewis yielded quite easily. I don't think Lewis really cared at that point in the race. I think he'd given up on everything. So yeah.
Okay.
But it was weird to see Max all weekend kind of behind the Racing Bulls in free practice, in qualifying. There were Racing Bulls like competing with him throughout all of them. I know he was ahead of them for the start, but then, in the race, was it Lawson finished ahead of him in the race or something like that?
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah, so like
certainly was ahead of him at stages. Yeah,
yeah. So it was just bizarre to see him just not do really anything and not compete. Laurel, whatever the guy's name is, it's got a T at the end. That's all I know. Okay. He said post race, he was like, or like on the radio to Max, he was like, "We're really sorry, we couldn't give you anything this weekend. Like the car we did our best." And Max just like, yeah, just is what it is. Like, I think they all know at this point that they've just got a shit box and they just need to
make a better box.
For next year. Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're in the factory just like, how to make this box better.
Yeah.
Go skiing.
Type that into Google. Yeah. See what comes up.
ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
They're smarter than Google, baby.
Of course.
Oh, I called you baby. Alonso, Stroll, Bortoleto, they had a fantastic race. We spoke last week about like losers, and I think was Bortoleto one of them last week, and this week could not be more of the opposite. He was a fucking weapon this week.
Yep.
So was Fernando, and Stroll less so. He got overtaken quite easily sometimes, but finished quite high in the points, qualified very well. Like, compared to where that Aston Martin has been for the last fucking 15 races or whatever, they both shocked.
Yes. Yeah. It was cool to see. It was very shocking. It certainly shocked me. I wanted to ask you what happened. Why do you think the Aston Martins were so fast? Like, why were these guys hanging around here?
Yeah.
But then I think after the race, I saw Alonso say, the concerning part is we don't know why we were fast. So if he doesn't know, then I don't think you will know.
Yeah, they said they asked him it was in the press conference afterwards. They were like, "Hey Fernando, like, good race today. What have you done to the car?" And I think Martin said during the race as well, he's like, "They've got to have done something to this car." And I was like, no clue.
Nope.
He's like, none of us know why we were quick this weekend. Because like it's similar to Monaco, right? With the downforce, it's a very high downforce track, and they were nowhere at Monaco. So it's just like they were okay, but compared to this, they were nowhere. And
so strange.
Yeah, they just whatever they did do, they did something correct. It'd be very interesting to see if they can emulate it again in another race. If they can figure out during this 3 weeks what they did, whether it was set up thing or whatever, and then try and emulate it again. But yeah, they're certainly scratching their heads, and I think everyone else is also scratching their heads about where that pace came from. Even during qualifying, I'm like, Q2 happened, and I'm like, because there was like the potential bit of rain at the beginning of Q2. I was like, is it just a greasy track and their car performs better in these greasy conditions? But then Q3, they did good laps as well. And then in the race, they were great. And I was like, this makes no sense.
As well as they did do, there was like a massive gap between them and whoever was next. Was it Charles maybe or something?
Yeah.
So and they were sort of holding up traffic behind them. Is that
crazy DRS train, wasn't there?
Yeah. Was that, so were they like, compared to the other guys, did they have really good pace to stay ahead, or did they was it like a matter of the track being a bit narrow and hard to overtake? Did they just do a good job of like blocking people and keeping them behind?
Do you remember Williams in Monaco? How we held up the Mercedes and fucked them. That's basically what they did.
Okay, right.
Like Fernando drove a very, and Bortoleto did as well. They just drove very good defensive lines whenever they were under pressure, which wasn't a lot. And then apart from that, they just used the battery. They used their battery deployment out of corners, so that on the main straights they would always pull away, and then they didn't care if they got caught during the fast stuff, because whoever was behind was going to lose downforce and just ultimately be slower because of that. So it was just a great race from Fernando and Bortoleto and Stroll, and I think if this was Spa last week, they potentially would have fallen out of the points with strategy and people being able to overtake a little bit easier. But that's Hungary. That's what the track is. It's just like Monaco. Like you can put your car in the middle of the track and just drive around at whatever pace you want to. And more often than not, you're not going to get overtaken. Like Lando struggled to get past George for the longest time. And then, Oscar at the very end struggled to get past Lando. Like it's a hard track to overtake on.
Yeah.
You got something else?
Nothing brilliant. Just George's overtake on Charles when Charles kept braking under or swerving under braking.
Yeah. That was rogue, wasn't it?
Yeah, what was that? Was it? I assume he was just frustrated, but it seemed outrageous, didn't it?
It was I was like very when it first happened, I thought they're crashing for sure.
Yeah.
George just out, and he must have shit his pants. Like he would have had skiddies after that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
But yeah, that was just very weird. It was a weird situation to see everyone else just DRS training for the full first stint. Because I remember seeing it was Alex on, who the frick was he behind in that first stint? But he was like 0.4 for ages. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Alex is going to overtake that guy. And then just never did. Because everyone, it was like from fucking Stroll. No, it was from Fernando or Bortoleto backwards. And then a few laps later, I think Fernando and Stroll had dropped out of Bortoleto's DRS. So then it was Fernando backwards, then it was Stroll. And it was never ending. Like no one could overtake. Classic Hungary. Right, Skin, we're going to move on to Guru and Fool of the Week.
All right.
Or Guru of the Week, Formula Fool.
Yep.
I've written down Guru of the Week. It's hard to look past him. Bortoleto. I think he drove a great race. That car is not the best, we keep saying, but then they keep fucking doing good results. Like Hulk got a podium the other week. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I feel like he managed that race really well. He managed his tyres really well. Okay, Fernando overtook him versus the qualifying, but Fernando is one of the best drivers in history, so it's hard to keep him behind. But apart from that, I think he managed it super well, and his confidence is going to be sky high. And even just in qualifying, like hearing him on the radio, he sounds like he's now getting used to the team and the car and Formula One, and he sounds comfortable where he is. And I'm very excited to see what he can do for the rest of the season, but also with Audi.
That's fair. Very fair. I like it. My answer is much more boring. I'm just going Lando. I like that he rolled the dice, took a gamble, backed in a strategy that should have been slower and required him to sort of like
really work.
Yeah, like work and make every lap sort of perfect. Like he couldn't really afford to make a mistake at any stage, and he nailed it. So
yeah. No, I agree with that. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's a great one. And my Formula Fool, I went with Max. I just think being slower than the Racing Bulls, doing that move on Lewis, I just don't think he had a great weekend overall. And I think going into summer break, he's potentially going to be the most deflated. I know Charles has had his issues and Lewis and things like that, but Max is looking like every week that car is getting slower. Whereas at least with the Ferraris, they're still competing for a top 5.
Fair.
On Charles' side.
Yep, that's fair. I think you could easily say Max or Lewis or anyone for this answer. But in an attempt to not be boring twice in a row, I was disappointed by my main man, Nico Hülkenberg.
Oh, yeah.
Who I've been talking up so highly for months now. This man, the greatest driver of all time, just fucking rolls forward before the bloody lights are gone.
Yeah.
Gets a penalty.
Oh, it was devastated. Devastated. It's like, let's go with the clutch a bit too early. Unlucky, Hulk. And by unlucky, I mean it was your fault. Okay, next race. We don't have a next race because we do, but we've got a summer break. So I wanted to talk more about the summer break. If you're new to F1, if you've never really been tuned in to the F1 news during the summer break, we call this, and this can happen anytime. Lewis fucking started it before the season last year when he moved to Ferrari. We call this silly season. So silly season is usually in the middle of the season. It's where we get driver swaps, we get, teams bringing big upgrades or teams changing or team principals being sacked. It kind of already started a few weeks ago with Christian Horner getting the boot.
True.
I want to throw some things out there because we've got a couple of things that could be announced, and I want to just nothing crazy yet. Have you read what I've put?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
The second thing's crazy, but the first thing's not.
Some big calls.
Yeah. First thing I think that you need to look out for is Cadillac. They've already announced a title sponsor for next year. I would expect we're going to get some more sponsor announcements, title sponsor announcements over the next few weeks for them as they ramp up their media efforts. Also, the driver lineup for Cadillac is getting spicy. We're seeing it looks like Checo is in the lead and is going to get a seat in Cadillac because of the amount of money he's bringing to the table, which wouldn't surprise me. He's obviously a good driver. Now we know that Red Bull is just a shit car. But also, the money that he brings for a new team would just be phenomenal. Like, it'd be a great step forward for them. And he knows how to drive. Like, he knows how to drive a slow car to make it quick. True. So, he spent plenty of years in the Sauber. So look out for that. So I think, based on the Lewis Hamilton comments, I'm just going to throw it out there because it could happen. I think Lewis Hamilton could announce his retirement at the end of this season. Like, he'll do it mid-season, but he'll retire at the end of the season. I reckon he's going to hang up the boots.
Right.
Put the helmet to bed, leave Ferrari, and we're not going to hear from him at all next year.
Okay.
That's what I reckon. That's my silly season prediction.
That is silly season stuff.
Yeah.
I like it.
I just don't think he's happy. I think he's shitting on himself, and he doesn't look happy. Ferrari they're obviously not producing anything that he wants right now. And even though he went into the season just being like, oh, it could just be a building year, he certainly looks more depressed than what everyone expected.
Yeah.
So
I can see what you're saying. I see where it's coming from. It's just very funny to hear you throw out such baseless claims.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're totally baseless. And it's mainly because I just don't like Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
that's why I'm throwing it out.
Base, yeah.
That's my base. And I hope it comes true. I will celebrate. There'll be a massive Formula Fools party with just me.
Yeah, a little one-person party.
Yeah, one-person party. Well, that wraps up another lap around the Formula Fools podcast. We hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did. And it is now time for you to join the Fools family by connecting with us on social media. Facebook, we are at Formula Fools, and Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, we are Formula_Fools.
Oh yeah, and you can also leave us a rating and review wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, things like that would help a great deal. Just get a few more people aware of what's happening.
Yeah, we're doing good stuff.
That would be lovely. We're certainly trying.
We're basically the Nico Hulkenberg of podcasts.
True.
Like, we are gurus, but we get forgotten.
That's true.
Ignore this race weekend where he had a false start.
Yeah. Apart from that, so what? 240 episodes in, we'll have a good one.
We'll have one good one, and it will just go bananas. And then the week after, we'll false start and no views.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us at Formula Fools, where every what the frick is my line? Go disc. Thanks for joining us at Formula Fools, where every turn is a chance for a good laugh. We'll see you next time. Smooth.
Well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah.